Hi, my name is Greg today, and I am a recovering alcoholic. I'm here to read this book for us. It's called the Daily Reflections book from Hazelden about recovering from alcoholism. So the reading today for November 16th is called A Daily Reprieve. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, page 85. Maintaining my spiritual condition is like working out every day, planning for the marathon, swimming laps, jogging. It's staying in good shape spiritually, and that requires prayer and meditation. The single most important way for me to improve my conscious contact with a higher power is to pray and meditate. I am as powerless over alcohol as I am to turn back the waves of the sea. No human force had the power to overcome my alcoholism. Now I am able to breathe the air of joy, happiness, and wisdom. I have the power to love and react to events around me with the eyes of a faith in things that are not readily apparent. My daily reprieve means that no matter how difficult or painful things appear today, I can draw on the power of the program to stay liberated from my cunning, baffling, and powerful disease, period, the end of the reading. So I want to add a couple things here, or at least one right off the bat. Out of the big book or wherever else it is written, it's alcoholism is described as cunning, baffling, and powerful. I want to add patient to that also, because any one of us, well, that's what I'm going to add, and now I'm going to kind of discuss this a bit, because it's all mashed together in my head. This A Daily Reprieve, and where's that other book? 24 hours a day. There's a slogan within AA, one day at a time. There's a book called One Day at a Time, I think. I have it right. I'm almost looking at it. Anyhow, when I first went to treatment, I've been to treatment twice. The first time I went to treatment was, I don't know, about 23 years ago. And it lasted for the amount of the treatment time, which was like 28-ish days. Might have been right around 30 days. I forget now. It was 20-some years and a lot of beer in between that time and now. But my point is all I could see ahead of me in that was just getting through the treatment so I could get back to drinking, get back to my job, and practice these tools that they trained us with, like in treatment. That here's the biggest problem with what I didn't admit I was powerless over alcohol. Like this person in today's reading, I mentioned as powerless to turn back the waves of the sea as he was to control his alcoholism or her alcoholism or whatever. So the first time I went to treatment, I just wanted to get square with my employers and co-workers and still be able to drink. I thought I could control it, and it didn't work. It was a dismal failure after a very short while. And I almost died from alcoholism over the period of the next 5 years. And let's see what happened. I got a different job. There's too much to mention. I ended up going to treatment again. And this time I was desperate. I was very desperate. I thought I was getting suicidal. I mean, it was a horrible time. So the daily reprieve, why I bring that up? I bring that up because the daily reprieve that is mentioned here, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition, and the most effective way to keep that in shape, like the working out to stay in shape for a marathon, say, there probably there's going to be a different measure of self-discipline involved. I don't think you can run a very good marathon if you haven't been fueling your body with good food and you've been eating junk food. I don't think over the long haul of a marathon that would serve you well. Okay, so each day in the training for a marathon, say, I've never done this. I used to be an athlete of some, I don't know, to some degree, strictly a novice, okay? But I just enjoyed things. Why I'm bringing this up is because the daily reprieve contingent on our maintenance of our spiritual condition is what can keep us sober and not becoming overwhelmed during the turmoil of a single day and throw away all the training that we've been doing up to that point, or all the abstinence we've had up to that point, all that sobriety we've had up to the point where for some reason our training fails us and we quit and we go back to drinking. So a way to keep that in good shape is not eating junk food. This is kind of a metaphor here. The eating donuts and such probably aren't the wisest choice to train for an endurance event, activity. You know, we need like protein. Okay, so that would be better good food. Have a good diet that will get you through the tight spots and over the long haul and be dependable. The maintenance of our spiritual condition, like as in this reading today, requires prayer and meditation. And I've likened this prayer part of that to be talking to God as you understand Him. A higher power, whatever your power greater than yourself is. I'm not going to get all into explaining this, but that prayer part, I like to make it simple in my head and consider that the talking part, me talking, even if it's an unrelenting machine gun fire of requests and demands and how come this is so or whatever, and this is usually a silent thing or sometimes not. In my head, I'm definitely thinking a whole bunch of demands and requests and things, and that is prayer. It's going maybe not in the right direction or asking for the wrong type of things and blah blah blah, but I'm just saying that the prayer portion of like the 11th step, let's read the 11th step and then we'll see if I can come back to this thought. Step 11 says sought, went looking for, sought. I got something in my throat. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. Okay, so praying only for something. I start this talking part of my prayer with a lot of negative demands sometimes and a lot of complaining, say. And then the meditation part of this, sought through prayer and meditation. The meditation part is listening from a higher power, or God, as you understand Him, or this power greater than yourself. So as it says in step 11, sought through prayer and meditation. I sit down, be quiet, and as much as I can focus on one thing, which might be the complaining or the asking or the demanding part of the prayer, I'm quiet vocally. The room is quiet audibly. My phone is turned off. I am sitting in meditation, and I begin with a prayer of some just different prayers, but it's the attitude is one of expectancy, reverence, respect, and need. So the prayer, help me get through today without drinking, say, maybe, would be a pretty germane prayer here. And then if I could just maintain, simply keep that prayer list, request list, demand list, complaint list down to one item. Help me to stay sober today, or at least through the next 20 minutes, 1 hour, whatever you think you need. Well, you're going to have the 20 minutes of sobriety to ever make it to 1 hour. You'd have to do it 3 times. 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. There, now you got 1 hour of sobriety. I've got something like 18 years of a lot of large spans that were put together in that way. It's like, I just don't want to be sober one more minute. I want to get wrecked on alcohol as soon as possible. Lots of that happened in the early part of the program. And then different things happen. See, I'm drifting away from our point here. Contingent on our daily maintenance of let me go back to the reading today, because I just wiped out my brain a second ago. Today, November 16th, a daily reprieve. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition, period. That's from Alcoholics Anonymous, page 85. If you read it from the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, or that big blue book usually, that I don't have right with me, I think, called Alcoholics Anonymous, that is basically the template, the operating procedures, the guide, the Bible, if you will. It's the training manual. It's the nearly be all end all of at least how Alcoholics Anonymous works in keeping people sober, or attempts to work in keeping people sober. So that a way better source of information than me. All I'm giving you is chewed up stuff that everything I've read and done, and I don't know what type of authority I have, probably none in your life. I'm just a guy recovering from alcoholism. And so anyways, when I'm looking for the good information, it comes out of the Alcoholics Anonymous book. And it says in there, what we really have is a daily reprieve. This means that we don't just get sober on Monday, and now here it is Friday, and we didn't do anything in between. We just got sober Monday, and we've stayed sober somehow until Friday. No, there were a lot of these periods, maybe, at least for myself, of these 20-minute things where it's like, I'd want to quit being sober and get wrecked now because X, Y, Z, whatever. And so we maintain our spiritual condition. I need to check the time here. What is going on? And okay, 14 minutes. I do this waving around like that so I can read the clock on my monitor screen. It's a white background somewhat here, and I can't. Anyways, back to this metaphor of a poor diet lacking in certain nutrients versus a better diet suited for the activity at hand. the spiritual condition, how do you maintain it? Look at the big book. Read the big book. That is a huge amount of information that might be more, difficult to consume all at once. The daily reprieve, a daily reprieve contingent, depending upon if we maintain our spiritual condition, which it was saying in here, maintaining my spiritual condition is like working out every day, planning for the marathon, swimming, laps, jogging. It's staying in good shape spiritually, and that requires prayer and meditation. I mentioned prayer and meditation is as simple as just stating a thing, or a really good, nice prayer is one of gratitude. I have a lot of those these days throughout the day, over and over. It's just thank you, God, because there are so many blessings in my life now that I had maybe thought earlier weren't grand enough to be a blessing. It's like everybody should have that. And now I finally got it, or something like that. It was just taking for granted and really being cheap about things in a way that I always wanted more still. Even being sober, thinking that whatever I had wasn't enough. And that's a fallacy. That's a falsehood. That it's not my statement or that situation. Well, the situation is it. Because, okay, this spiritual condition that I'm in today, and I was in yesterday, and for the majority of, say, the past 12 years, has been one that, well, this is what I have, and I don't really so much mean what I have, like in where I live and stuff like that, material, temporary things. What I have, the most precious things, are here. This physical body, the spiritual part of my soul, or my mind, my will, my emotions, the intangible, and I'm going to call them, let's see, less than temporal. They're more, they're permanent in a way, but it's I can't put a handle on that today. It's like rather than chasing after the paycheck, I'm chasing after what's a better one here? It's not the destination. It's the drive, the journey going to the destination. A lot of times in life, myself, I'd look like I got to get over here. I got to get this amount of stuff. And then I would just ignore everything that was happening on the way to get the stuff. And then by some happenstance, I might get some of the stuff after an enormous amount of struggle and realize it wasn't worth it. Okay, and so this is what I'm talking about. That the gratitude of my prayer life is like comes from the realization that I put a higher value on serenity, say, for one thing, peace of mind, honesty, these kind of touchy-feely things that aren't real easy to label or nail down for today. So that's kind of a portion of the spiritual condition. If I keep that spiritual condition well by feeding it wisely, instead of, say, like on the other side of this metaphor, training for a physical endurance exercise, donuts may not be the best choice. Maybe something with more protein. You're going to need simple carbohydrates. You're going to need sugar, but not just all sugar. It might be here's one: put some maple frosting on a pork rib. Just try that out. That would be somewhat good, I think. It's good fuel on the short term. Don't quote me on that. I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not any of those things. I'm just a guy. So, likewise, on the other side of that, maintaining our spiritual condition could be as extreme as becoming a recluse, like a monk, and completely secluding yourself away from the rest of society. In some manner, I mean, maybe you get locked up in a prison. Maybe you get locked up in a mental ward. Maybe you're locked up in a intensive care unit. There's all kinds of different ways that we can be secluded from others and more trapped inside our own mind. I got to look at this clock again. 20 minutes. I got about a minute here if I can wrap this up. So here, as part of the diet of maintaining your spiritual condition, pray in whatever way you think works for you. Look into prayer. Ask the internet, what is prayer? How can I pray? Likewise, what is meditation? How can I meditate? And then just make up your own rules on who you pray to, what you pray about, what prayer consists of. I mean, it's best to start somewhere. And then the meditation thing, likewise, same thing. That requires, it works better if you're not thinking about other things and running off some mental checklist in your head. You're listening for an answer. So prayer is talking to, meditation, listening from. And start with that. And this will help maintain your spiritual condition. This touchy-feely area of our lives, the spirit part. I am a Christian minister, but I'm not going to get all into that because I don't believe it's too